Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching another episode of the Football Betting Podcast with me, Tom Pipkin, and my co host, Tom Walker. We've got an action packed show once again for everybody today. We're going to sink our teeth into the Premier League, Championship, League One, and League Two, picking out our betting highlights from each division. And then we're going to bundle it all up at the end in a nice little bomb-proof treble, which, speaking of the treble, Tom, we're on the back of a big winner. Second week into the season, first weekend in the Premier League, landing a nice 8.97 to 1, did you say it was?
Yeah, 8.97. Total goals scored by our teams, 3. So, yeah, a hat-trick of 1-0s. We'll get into details when we reflect on it a bit more later on in the show. But a great way to start the season, and looking to follow that up with another one that I'm excited to read out towards the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to give a quick plug to Twitter as well, just before we start, because not only did we have a good treble on the podcast last week that won at the weekend, we also gave out 4 midweek Twitter tips for the League One and League Two fixtures that were on Tuesday night. 3 won out of the 4. So I know a couple of people tweeted us saying they picked out some winning accumulators or some winning trebles from those tips that we picked. So definitely profitable to be following us on social media as well. You can do that at T_FB podcast. But yeah, we're going to go straight into the Premier League then. And we're going to get started personally with the Friday night game. Under the lights at the City Ground, Forest at home to Sheffield United. Tom, I'm sure you fancy us to get 3 points here as
I
well,
do,
do you?
mate. I do, and I think we're a little bit short, but I'm also in a weird way okay with 1.85, and I kind of get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
I agree.
Sheffield United, pretty much everyone has them finishing last, and if you don't, it's probably Luton, and you have Sheffield United finishing second last. Just on paper, a really, really poor team, like a club that's gone backwards since promotion, sadly, for Blades fans. Um, Fotheringham, Basham, Egan, Robinson, Baldock. That was your goalkeeper and back 4. All getting on, all past their sell-by date, and all probably championship players at this stage. Norwood was anchoring the midfield with Maxlow and Anel Ahmedhodzic also completing like a wing-back system. Ahmedhodzic going to go on to good things. Maxlow, a championship player. And Ben Osborne. Benny Traore, I don't know too much about. And William Osula is a promising player, but that's the team they put out against Crystal Palace. They were completely dominated in terms of goal attempts. It was 11-6 in favour of Palace. Shots on target 8-1. Off target 5-3 in favour of Sheffield United. It was a very comfortable result for Crystal Palace. It could have been a lot worse, and I really fear for Sheffield United. This is about as tough as a outside the top 6 away game you can have going off last season.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, obviously Forest picked up an awful lot of their points at home last season. It's where once again we're going to be strongest. I have no doubt about it. The City Ground will be buzzing for this game. Really intimidating place for Sheffield United to play. I agree though. Forest 1.85. I think that will get the weekend off to a flyer for us personally. Anything else you want to add on that game, or shall we move on?
Move on.
Moving on then to Saturday. So we are going to pick out our highlights from the Premier League rather than go through game by game. There's not an awful lot from the 3:00 kickoffs. That's Fulham, Brentford, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Wolves, Brighton that I'm particularly hot on. Anything from those 3 games for you?
Yeah, there is actually. I am interested in Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 2.4. Fully expecting Liverpool to get a victory. I thought they were probably second best against Chelsea, but very dangerous going forward, and certainly green shoots in terms of their attack with so many options on the bench. And, with Bournemouth, they're a team that I think are the next the next Brighton, the next Brentfords, that kind of forward-thinking smaller club that's going to punch above their weight. They got a draw against West Ham. They were probably looking for all three, but yeah, just historically, not been a happy hunting ground for Bournemouth. They've only scored in one of their last 5 visits to Anfield, but I think things are changing and they can get on the score sheet in defeat.
5:30 Tottenham Man U. Anything there for you?
Tale of the unknowns, really, isn't it? We got Tottenham trying to work out who they
Yeah.
are under Ange, and we got Man U who got absolutely dominated by an unfancied Wolverhampton Wanderers side, and obviously we've all seen the penalty that wasn't given. So yeah, not ready to go anywhere near either team right now.
No, I do have something I like in the Man City Newcastle game though, which is the 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. The price is Man City 1.61, heavy favourites at home as you'd expect. The draw 4.2 and Newcastle 5.25, big outsiders here. I actually like something from a Newcastle perspective here. Obviously, they got their season kicked off really well with a 5-1 win over Aston Villa last weekend. And I've just been watching before we came on to record, as you might have, Tom, the Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup, which Man City won on penalties against Sevilla. This is Wednesday night. They've now got to play again Saturday night. They just won a trophy. They're currently out in Greece, probably celebrating that trophy win. I'm sure they're very professional. Pep wouldn't have it any other way, but this is a really, really tough Newcastle team they're going to be playing against. And I'm not going to say Newcastle are going to win, but I like Newcastle on the handicap. And Newcastle plus 2 goals, so that even factors in Newcastle losing by a goal and the bet will still win. That's 1.5.
Okay, yeah, I like it. I like the logic you've put into that. Really, I'm actually really excited for the game. So yeah,
Yeah.
interested to see how it plays
Could
out.
you see Newcastle getting beat by more than 1 goal?
No,
No, me neither, really.
no,
Me
not
neither.
really.
Especially with this midweek out in Greece that City have had.
2-1, 2-1 City.
Yeah, and if it's 2-1 City, that's fine. Bet wins. Handicap plus
Yeah,
2 here for Newcastle.
yeah, that's my prediction. I'll bounce into Sunday then, and you mentioned Tom Villa. Wow, bloody hell, completely destroyed, huh? On
Yeah,
on
I don't think anyone
on
was
the
expecting
opening
it,
day.
were they?
Bloody hell, this was like a battle of the who might break the big six again. And yeah, Newcastle dispatching Villa 5-1. It's about as probably as bad as Villa have played under Unai Emery. But I'm backing them to get back on track here against an Everton side who lost 1-0 at home to Fulham. Just same old Everton, really. Like, Dyche has had a full preseason. He's had he's got limited resources, let's be honest, but he's had a transfer window to try and bolster the squad and get a little bit better. And they were poor. They were really poor against Fulham. Lots of high balls into the box. Obviously, Bernd Leonard did have a good game. We do have to say that. Maybe on another day, Everton win, but even then, a scrappy performance, not very clean at all, and worrying signs for me. And what am I basing this Villa pick on? Well, last season, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think I'd rather take last season as a true reflection of Villa under Emery, understanding there's been a little bit of change, but not much. And yeah, I am happy to base last season on, happy to base my pick, on last season, which I think is a better barometer. So they are priced at
Mhm.
1.66. It's a little tight, but I will go for the villains.
Yep, I like it as well. Yeah, as you completely align, it is a skinny price, skinnier than I would have liked, but I think they'll win.
Yeah.
Moving into the 4:30 West Ham against Chelsea, I like Chelsea here at 1.9 away from home. West Ham struggling to keep clean sheets. They've not kept a clean sheet for 10 consecutive games now. And Chelsea last weekend got a 1-1 draw against Liverpool, which I'd say on balance, they were probably the better side over the course of the 90 minutes. You can kind of see what they're trying to do and see how Poch is trying to sort out the mess that he inherited, really. Enzo Fernandez really dominating the midfield. Lots of chatter about him and his performance at the weekend. I think they'll have too much to beat a West Ham side who I'm still kind of on the fence with at the moment. What are they going to be post Declan Rice? James Ward-Prowse has come in since we last recorded a podcast, but to counter that, Chelsea have just signed Caicedo, Lavia, and probably Elise. By the time this game rolls around, so
Yeah.
Chelsea getting even stronger. I'm liking my preseason shot of a top four pick at nearly 2-1 now. I think at 1.9 they should get a win here.
Yeah, moving into Monday, we've got Palace Arsenal. Here, I think in terms of a result, I'd like to back Arsenal, but I don't think I can at 1.57. Depending on how much you read into XG, they did actually lose the XG battle to Nottingham Forest on opening day. Obviously went on to win the actual game 2-1. I think I'll probably go for both teams to score in 1.95. I think obviously Elise is not going to be involved. He's injured anyway. Eze, very quiet home opener. It's very quiet on the season opener. It was mainly Jordan Ayew who was causing the damage for Crystal Palace. I think Thomas Partey playing that right back, centre mid hybrid role could get caught out. I think Tomiyasu may start, and I think that'll probably be wise for Arsenal. Palace, even with Zaha's departure and Olise on his way, they've got enough to score a goal at least, and I think both teams to score is quite a good price, actually.
Okay, well, that wraps up the Premier League then for this weekend. We'll go straight into the Championship, and for me, straight into the 12:30 on Saturday, which is Plymouth against Southampton. Southampton's record at keeping clean sheets is so bad. It's so bad, isn't it? I
Mm.
mentioned it, I think it was the pod last week, if not, it was the week before. Can't keep a clean sheet for anything. 20 games that they've gone now without keeping a clean sheet, obviously spanning from last season through pre-season through the start of this season. They conceded 4 last weekend against Norwich in that entertaining 4-4 draw. And they go away to Plymouth this weekend. And just whilst there's no sign of Southampton being able to keep a clean sheet, I'm just going to go for both teams to score here. 1.66 is the price. It's a little bit skinnier than I would have liked. Considering how Southampton have been playing, lots of goals, lots of entertainment, action at both ends. You could well look into both teams to score and over 2.5, over 3.5, I'm sure. But if you're sticking on the safer side, I'm sure both teams to score will come here at 1.66 because Plymouth has started and they've looked good in their first few games in the Championship, beating Huddersfield at home, beating Lane Orient at home in the Cup, and then a 0-0 draw away at Watford last weekend. So I fancy the chances Plymouth against this Southampton defence, I'm sure.
Yeah, you took it right off my notes, mate. Best place to have a season ticket, I think, this season. St. Mary's. Get yourself
Yeah,
down.
absolutely, yeah.
Get yourself down. Um,
Or if you can't get a season ticket, get your iFollow passes or
yeah,
whatever it is at the moment.
exactly that red button. Um,
Yeah.
Blackburn, 1.85. Not kind of being talked about too much. I don't expect them to make the playoffs or anything, but they've made a good start. In their 2 league games, they've won 1 and drew 1, so they're sat in 7th place. They also beat Walsall in the Carabao Cup. I did actually watch the game against West Brom, the full game. Don't ask why. But I actually was really impressed with Blackburn. They created an absolute boatload of chances, but the finishing was all over the place. And I actually see their 2-2 draw away at Rotherham as a positive result rather than a negative. And then I look at Hull, they're beaten 2-1 by Norwich, who seem to be a lot better so far than people are expecting. They lost against Doncaster in the Carabao Cup. And then they would beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-2. I'm just not ready to give anybody any credit for playing against Sheffield Wednesday, basically. I think that's not going to age well, that win. It will probably become quite routine. I think Sheffield Wednesday are in massive trouble already. And yeah, Blackburn, for me, if they create half the amount of chances they did against West Brom, then they're going to win this. And 1.85, I think, is actually a really good price.
Yep. I can see that one. Absolutely. Shorter price, so I won't spend too much time on it. In the next one for me, and it's Leicester at home to Cardiff. They're priced at 1.45 for the victory. Leicester, the shortest priced team in the Championship this weekend. Um, I guess steady, solid, but unspectacular is probably how I'd describe Leicester so far this season. Played two games in the Champ, won them both 2-1 and 1-0, and a 2-0 win in between in the Cup as well. So not exactly setting the world alight, but getting the job done. 3 wins out of 3 possible victories. So all good stuff there. And they play a Cardiff side at home who, yeah, I'm just not sure about Cardiff. It wasn't before the season started. I'm still not convinced. 3 games in, they've won one, they've drawn one, they've lost one. They've conceded 2 goals in each of the 3 games they've played so far this season. Going away to the King Power, I could easily see them conceding another 2 goals. Do they have enough about them to score 2 or more to get something out of this game away from home at the title favourites, in the bookies' eyes at least anyway? Not for me. So Leicester justifiably short, I think, this week.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about Leicester's. That Leicester are one of those teams where are they going to click into gear and get even better, or
Mm.
is this how good they're going to be, and are they going to come unstuck a little bit? I'm interested to
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
but I think they should win this one. Ipswich, Tom. I'm back in Ipswich. They're away at QPR. Um, they've won 16 of their last 17 games, Ipswich, and
Kieran McKenna.
that does not include friendlies at all. This is Carabao Cup. This is League One. This is Championship action. Unbelievable, man. Absolutely crazy.
Mm.
Like, a lot of other podcasts and journalists and Twitter accounts had Ipswich very high in their 1 to 24s. We went high for a promoter team, but maybe we underestimated them because they are top of the table so far. 2 from 2, plus a Carabao Cup win at home against Bristol Rovers. Easily the best team in the league so far. And they're playing against a QPR team that I'm just not ready to fall in love with and trust after a win over Cardiff, Tom. Very similar to what I said about Hull. I'm not really ready to give anyone credit for beating Cardiff so far.
Mm.
And Watford have been an absolute. Watford. I was looking at their name and because they beat QPR on opening day 4-0. QPR have been an absolute train wreck. And I'm not kind of falling in love with QPR because an academy product scored the winner for them and they won 2-1 away at Cardiff, yada yada yada. They followed that up with a defeat to Norwich in the Carabao Cup. I think they'll revert back to type, which is being a poor Championship side, and we've got the most informed team in the 72 at least. So yeah, Ipswich for me, I think are a pretty big price. 1.95.
Mm.
I know they're recently promoted and they should be bigger, but the levels they've played at so far, I was expecting worse.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Win is a habit, isn't it? And they're certainly in that habit right now. And I just went off my 1 to 24s for Ipswich off the back of what I read from a lot of Ipswich fans and the general consensus. I don't think, from what I read, but personally, studying Ipswich and what their fans thought about their team and how they do this season, they weren't saying largely, automatic promotion or maybe out of push playoffs. They were kind of thinking they'd be happy with the top, 10th, 12th, top 10, that kind of area.
Mm.
So yeah, they're doing really well at the moment. But fair play, should win again this weekend. And there's no more in the champ for me
One
to
more for
round that
me,
one up
mate.
anyway.
I just want to quickly bring up Sunday. Norwich against Millwall. Two teams that I thought would be the opposite way round so far. I thought Millwall would start well, Norwich would struggle and go on to struggle, and Millwall would
Mm.
threaten that playoff spot. It's been quite the opposite, and we're back in the Canaries. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff. Norwich evens 2.0. Played 2 in the league, won 1, drew 1, and also beat QPR in the Carabao Cup. They just look a lot of fun. They just look very, very, very attacking. Obviously, they drew 4-4, and it's not going to happen every week, of course. But John Rowe has absolutely come out of nowhere and been one of the best players in the league so far. I didn't even know who this guy was, embarrassingly, before this started. Adam Eder as well, kind of getting off the mark. I think this season could be a big season for him. And Josh Sargent might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think he's just showing that he's not a championship level player. He's not a Prem level player either, but maybe he lives somewhere in the middle. Millwall really struggling at the moment, showing basically no signs after that 1-0 win away at Middlesbrough, which has aged pretty badly because Middlesbrough aren't looking great, and they haven't scored since. So I'm going to back Norwich at even money.
Yeah, I could certainly see it. That comment you made about Josh Sargent not quite being Prem level, probably too good for the champ. I was thinking he's stuck in that purgatory area I was trying to think of those other strikers that have been bracketed in like that.
Do you know what
What
was
say?
the classic
Rob
one for me?
Earnshaw,
Yeah.
who's
My classic guy was Jason Kumas. Like back in the day, he was unplayable as like an attacking midfielder in the champ, and in the Prem, just absolutely nowhere near the levels. And I don't know why, but he was always the one that came to my mind.
there's one guy who's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of him for the life of me. He's past it now, maybe 5 years or so past it, but
Yeah.
wicked in the champ, but useless in the Prem, and it's
Hmm.
bugging me that I can't think who it is.
Yeah.
So I
Well, if
really
he comes to
remember.
you, let us know.
It
Just
comes,
shout his name out in the
yeah,
middle of the League Two segment.
yeah. Right, League One then, yeah.
League One, then, yeah.
Blackpool, yeah,
Yeah. Full 180, by the way. Absolute full 180.
yeah. You said last week it's it's good to admit when you're wrong, and maybe we were wrong or you were wrong on Blackpool because they're currently unbeaten in the league and cup this season. Overall, 9 consecutive games unbeaten, including pre-season. They're on such a contrasting run of form to Leyton Orient. I highlighted last week on the pod. If you didn't listen, there's some real rot that's set in at Leyton Orient. Had a shocking pre-season, lost most of their games against National League and lower opposition. Um, they've not kept a clean sheet for 10 consecutive games. They've lost 6 in a row. Every game they've played in League One so far, they've lost. Struggling to score goals as well. They did score last weekend, though, to be fair to them. But Blackpool, yeah, started extremely well. They've not conceded a goal yet since Critchley's come back in. 4 games of competitive action, 3 in the league, 1 in the cup, 4 consecutive clean sheets. So they're really tough to break down, really tough to score against. I can't see this Leyton Orient side in really poor form going away to Blackpool and getting a victory. So for me, this is going to be a Blackpool win, probably to nil again. 1.65 is Blackpool on the nose. Just checking the price to add that little bit more. 2.75 Blackpool to win and both teams to score. No.
Always love Blackpool on this pod. Always. Sorry, Tangerine fans. All right, Peterborough, Tom. Anytime I see Peterborough over evens, I get quite excited, to be honest with you. This is going back last season as well. 2.10 away at Northampton, I think, is a scarily good price. And I did a lot of research on this just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Because we've got Peterborough here, second in the table, won 3 from 3, conceding 1 goal. And they are away at Northampton, who lost their only game at Sixfields and have drew 1 and lost 2 of their 3 total. In particular, Peterborough, they have looked really good on the road so far. So you got that curtain raiser 1-0 win away at Reading. That was a good result.
Dwight Gale.
Hey, Dwight
Gale. Dwight
Oh,
Gale.
okay. Yeah, there we go. And we're talking about Peterborough.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. I'm looking forward to
That's the guy.
the next shout out. And I tell you what, I hope people who are driving and listening are very safe and well. after you just shouted Dwight Gale at him on the motorway.
It's come to me. It's come to me.
There we go. Yeah, so Peterborough have been
Sorry,
really good.
carry on
They
anyway.
beat Reading on the opening day away, but crucially, Tom, 3-1 away at Barnsley in midweek. That made me sit up and take notice. Darren Ferguson's done a really good job, I think, from when he was rehired towards the back end of last season, minus blowing a 4-0 lead or whatever it was in the
Mm,
playoff semi-finals. But
yeah.
yeah, going away to a Northampton team who got schooled by Stevenage on the home opener. They lost away at Wigan and Swansea in League One and Carabao Cup action, respectively, and then responded with a decent draw against Lincoln at home in the league. But I think this is the next
Mm.
level of test, and yeah, I really like the Posh's price. Posh's price.
Just a caveat potentially to this one that may put you off it if you're that way inclined. This is a little rivalry, so Northampton and
Is
Peterborough
it?
do have a rivalry, yeah. So
Bugger off.
if
This
that
isn't a
is
rivalry.
if that kind of well, according to DMAC, it is. So
Really? What did he say?
yeah, yeah, he said that Northampton and Cambridge are their two main rivals.
Bloody hell, it's a sad state of affairs, that is.
So
Rubbish.
yeah, if you're the kind of better to avoid betting on these kind of derby or rivalry matches, then that might be one to consider. But yeah,
I think
Peterborough should definitely win it.
it's fair to flag up.
Um, who else we got? Portsmouth. I feel like I'm short price FC this week on the pod. I really apologise. Portsmouth are priced at 1.44 to win at home to Cheltenham, so we will not spend too long on it. Cheltenham played 3, lost 3. They've not started the season well. Not scored a goal either. That comes in any of their 3 league games or the Carabao Cup game sandwiched in the middle. That loss of Alfie May to Charlton really hitting them hard, it seems, at the moment at the sharp end. Yeah, so going away to Fratton Park against the Portsmouth side who are winning. They won the last 3. That's 1 cup, 2 in the league. They're scoring plenty of goals. They scored 9 goals in their 4 games so far this season. Yeah, I think Portsmouth at home going to be far too strong. It's reflected in the price. But yeah, 1.44 for Portsmouth.
Points deductions and Reading, they go hand in hand, sadly, for Royals fans. They've been slapped, I think, a 1-point deduction with 3 suspended. So I think it's 1 for sure and maybe up to 4. Basically failing to pay their players, etc. It's now up to 13 points they've lost under Dai Yong's ownership, which is frankly a disgrace. They do have a football match to play this weekend, and I just want to flag up a nice priced outsider in Stevenage at 2.75. Steve Evans and his Stevenage side are just absolutely blitzing everything that's in front of them so far. It is bloody marvellous to watch. 4 wins out of 4. 1-0 away at Northampton, a win on pens in the Carabao Cup against Watford, 2-0 against Shrewsbury, 2-1 against Cambridge. I think Reading are probably the best league team that they've played so far, judging on how Reading have played. So it's not a sure thing, but they're flying right now, and Reading have been slapped again. How much does that affect the players? I don't know. But what I do know is I'll be having a little tickle at 2.75 on the big man.
Absolutely. Can't not at the moment, can you?
No,
Can't not. No more in League One for me. Have you got any more you
no,
want to talk about?
no.
Let's dive into League Two then. Oh yeah, where do we start? I was really keen on Gillingham. They're 2.37, but Crawley seemed to. I don't know what's going on at Crawley, but
No one.
they're expected by a lot of people to finish bottom of this league quite comfortably. They started very well. They beat MK Dons in midweek. They're currently 3rd. They've won 2 and drawn 1 of their 3 games. So I'm now scared. However, I'm gonna I'm going to be true to my guns. I'm going to stick with Gillingham at 2.37.
Love
Three
it.
games, three wins, no goals conceded, a 1-0 win every single game. So efficient, effective, hard to beat. Um, can Crawley spoil the party like they have done so far for all the other matches they've played in? Maybe, but I just think Gillingham are going to be too good for me personally. So 2.37 for the Gills. They've not let us down yet, so I've got to stick with them.
Yeah, great story, by the way. Brilliant story. Like, basically, relegation fodder to topping the table in a year. Just
Yeah,
ownership only took over in January. It's bloody remarkable, to be honest with you. Absolutely
yeah.
remarkable. Okay. I'm not going to lie to you, I found League Two very tough this week. I don't know about you, Tom. Um,
Yeah, it's not the best, is it?
no, not loving it. So I've got a bit of a wobbly one, but I do like
Mhm.
it. I do like it, but it does come with a bit of risk. It's Mansfield at 2.10. They're playing away at Grimsby. Just for context, Grimsby priced up at 3.3, the draw 3.5. Firepower. I am back in Mansfield on their firepower. So far this season, they scored two against Crewe, two against Grimsby, but it was at Field Mill in the Carabao Cup. They scored three against Morecambe and two against Doncaster. So they've scored a minimum of two every single game, scoring three once. Will Swan is also back for Mansfield. They're kind of marquee signing for Nottingham Forest that they made permanent this season. He managed to get a half in this midweek. So even more to come for Mansfield and Grimsby. They did get a home win in midweek to get their first win of the season against Salford, which is quite impressive. And they did push Notts County away from home quite close. They lost 3-2. Um, but for me, I think Mansfield have enough to go to Grimsby and get the result, despite it being a tough game. I'll be back in Mansfield for sure. I think they're going to go on to have a good season, and maybe this is finally the season. Who bloody knows? But
Oh,
who knows? But 2.10 is quite enticing, I think.
yeah. I've got a nice little price. It's a short price, but it's a nice one, I think. It's in the Stockport against Barrow game. So this is Barrow to score a goal. So when you're looking for the market, you can either look for Barrow to score over zero point 0.5, Barrow 1 plus goals, Stockport to keep a clean sheet. No, all the same thing. You might get a little bit of variance in price, so do check the other markets and that are essentially the same thing, just worded differently. Stockport to not keep a clean sheet is 1.66. This is a team in Stockport who, despite being well fancied by me, you, a lot of people, the bookies, started the season with a wobble again, really, after coming so close at Wembley last year. And they did the same thing last season, didn't they? They started really slowly, then they just absolutely motored through the second half of the season and just beat everyone in their path. But it seems like they're starting slowly again. Um, they've not won yet. They've played 4 games, League and Cup, lost 3, drawn 1, conceded in every game. So it's a poor start. Barrow, on the other hand, in their 4 games, won 2, drawn 1, lost 1. The cup game was the one they lost to Bolton, 1-0. So with how good Bolton are doing in League One, no shame there at all. Their league form has been really good. I think Barrow can absolutely get at least a goal in this game. They're a massive 5.25 to win, which I think is worth a look personally as well. But just to score 1.66, and as a little bit of a cherry on the top, Stockport haven't kept a clean sheet against Barrow for 11 consecutive games either.
And I'm going to finish it off with a bit of a fun outside one. Um, I've always said, Tom, to you, excuse me, that there's always a price to back pretty much anybody, I think. Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
gave me 10,000 to 1 for, I don't know, Tranmere Rovers to beat Man City at the Etihad, I would take it. I wouldn't put a big stake down, but I would take it, right? But that's my theory. Is like,
Yeah.
if you think there's a chance and the price is good, then have a little flutter if you're in a position to do so. So I want to look at Swindon. They are away at Wrexham. Wrexham, as we know, big, massive favourites for the league. 1.55 they are. It's super short. And yeah, since they lost at home to MK Dons in their kind of return to league football, big hoo-ha, they've clicked into gear. They beat Wigan on penalties, Carabao Cup. They drew away at Wimbledon, and they beat Walsall at home. So Wrexham are quite rightly the favourites for this game. But Swindon have quietly been all right, to be honest with you. They lost on pens to Peterborough in the Carabao Cup. They drew against Crewe. They beat Forest Green away. They've only played 2 league games for some reason. I must have missed the memo. I'm not sure why. I just think at 5.75 for a team like Swindon, who should be competitive, maybe they can do an MK Dons, maybe they can spring a surprise. I just think 5.75 is absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth having a look. If you're having a long shot, you fancy a bit of fun, there's no way Swindon should be priced at nearly 6. No way. So,
Nope.
yeah, have a little fun with that one. It's not going to end up on the bomb-proof treble, spoiler alert, but yeah, I just think it's worth looking into.
Yeah, absolutely. I also, again, just looking back at the last market, the Wrexham to keep a clean sheet, no. Just mentioned Stockport to keep a clean sheet, no. Wrexham to keep a clean sheet, no, is 1.5 as well. They don't keep clean sheets. They don't. They've not kept one in the league this season so far. You mentioned they conceded 5 against MK Dons. They conceded 2 in a 4-2 win at Walsall in midweek. They didn't keep a clean sheet throughout pre-season. They just don't keep them. So 1.5 for Swindon to get on the score sheet. I think that's another one. I'm just looking at the double. Wrexham to keep a clean sheet, no. Stockport to keep a clean sheet, no. The double pays 2.5. If you want to over double your money, bang, in, out. Love it.
Yeah, I love it. And just for context as well, Tom, I showed you the bet slip I had. I had a private bet that included MK Dons to beat Wrexham on opening day. MK Dons were priced at 5.0.
Yeah.
Right? They went there, got the win. 5.75 is probably relatively, that's quite relative. I would say MK Dons are a better side than Swindon, but I capitalised on this on the home opener. I don't know if Lightning's going to strike twice, but I'm certainly going to be in with a shout because I'll be backing them.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely worth a go. Yeah, no more in the league for me. So we'll go on to recapping last week's successful bomb-proof treble and give you this week's bomb-proof treble, shall we?
Yeah. Tom, a hat-trick of clean sheets. Oh, it's what dreams are
Lovely.
made of. 8.97 this winner was. So congratulations if you got on the back of that. We had Crystal Palace to beat Sheffield United away from home. They did so 1-0. We had MK Dons to beat Tranmere at home. They did 1-0. And we had Gillingham to beat Accrington Stanley at home 1-0. It seems so easy now. 8.97 in hindsight, Tom, is a massive price, really. We really got quite lucky there.
Unfortunately, it's nowhere near that price this week for what we've picked. But yeah, so we're going to go for Leicester to beat Cardiff, Portsmouth to beat Cheltenham, and then Blackpool to beat Leyton Orient. So that's Leicester, Portsmouth, and Blackpool all to win, and that treble pays 3.86. So a £10 example stake pays £38.60. Yeah, that's the one. I think it's 4 home teams. The prices are a bit shorter, but the 4 home teams we're all confident in against 3 teams away from home who haven't started the season well, particularly the 2 teams in League One, Cheltenham and Leyton Orient. So I'm confident again in this one that we can continue our good run.
Yeah, you can only pick from the docket that's in front of you, and hopefully that 8.97 and the 3 of 4 in midweek stand us in good stead. So yeah, let's pivot then, Tom, into fancy football as we kind of start to close the show. Week 1 is in the books. Really exciting to be kicking this off again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 10 teams pending to join the league, because you can join this league at any time. So that's going to take us to 322 teams in the league. It begs the question, where are you?
For our standards, I'm doing all right. I'm in 155th.
Wow.
I'm in the top 200, which was the aim. So
good
I'm
for
pretty happy
you.
right now. Yeah.
I'm 257th, so I am
Okay.
well and truly in the mud already.
Yeah. Just reverted back to type.
I have, mate. Tell you who hasn't. Sean McCarthy asterisks. So I want to give Sean credit because he is top. He got 94 points. He played his bench boost on game 1.
Who's on the bench?
Onana got 9. That's an absolute disgrace, by the way. Grealish 0. João Pedro 7 and Gabriel 1. So 17 points.
It's a strong bench. But yeah, bench boost in week 1 is
Week
an
1.
interesting move.
Setting his stall out, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like you get some people do triple captain on a favourite to like Haaland or someone to try and be top of the whole thing and then get first game week. So there's some people who set up accounts just purely focused on the first fixture of the season. So they'll pick 6 players from the first fixture of the season and they'll try and be top of the entire thing and play the triple captain first week just so they can say, I had the most points. Screenshot.
Yeah, I'm the best.
Done.
I'm the best in the world. Screenshot, save the receipt.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you can join our fancy Premier League at any stage. So we do post on Twitter the league code. So get in touch with us, as Tom said, T_FB podcast. Now the football season is well underway. If you follow us, you're also, as we said, going to get those midweek Twitter tips and little bits and pieces as well.
Reviews do help us. If you can leave a rating or a review, just a rating's fine if you don't have the time. On wherever you listen to your podcasts, that will be much appreciated. And of course, please do get in touch on social media like Tom mentions and like we touched on at the top of the show, T_FB podcast. Sharing your bet slips. We saw lots last weekend. We love to see them. All the winners, if there are bets, if they're just things you picked yourself, any of it is great. So yeah, thanks for all the engagement so far this season. Thanks to everyone who has listened and watched. We'll be back again this time next week with another pod. So yeah, have a good, profitable weekend, everybody.